Good evening, friends and adventurers. Tonight I'm going to take you on a wonderful adventure with a young herbalist named Caelum. If you like what you hear, please make sure to subscribe and continue your journey every night with us here at DreamQuest. So now, close your eyes, relax, loosen your shoulders, relax your jaw, and take a deep breath in and let it out. Let's begin. Whispers of the Hollow Vale, a fantasy bedtime adventure written for sleep, peace, and wonder. The wind at the edge of the village. In the quiet village of Myliner, where lanterns burned low and cobblestone paths wound like sleepy streams. A gentle wind stirred the barley fields just past the last house. The sun had long dipped beneath the western ridge, and in its place, a lavender sky glowed faintly, still clinging to day, yet cradled in the hush of oncoming night. There, at the edge of the village, lived a young herbalist named Caelum. Caelum was not a hero, nor did he wish to be. He tended to his garden, spoke kindly to the birds, and brewed teas from starroot and whisperleaf. His small cottage smelled always of earth and warmth, like pine wood, chamomile, and hearth ash. Most nights, he would sit beside his window, legs tucked beneath a wool blanket, listening to the crickets and the low song of the distant creek. But tonight, the wind was different. It carried with it the faintest sound, like a bell ringing far, far away. Not a village bell, not even one from the monastery beyond the hills. No, this was older, wiser, a sound that called not to ears, but to memory, to something long asleep. Caelum stepped out into the darkening dusk, lantern in hand, robe drawn tight around his shoulders. His boots made soft sounds in the grass as he walked toward the fields. The barley swayed like a living sea, touched by unseen hands. And then there, standing among the gold, was someone he did not know. She wore a robe the color of dusk and held a staff shaped like a branch, twisted and silver-barked. Her eyes glowed faintly, though not in any threatening way. They shimmered like dew touched by moonlight. She smiled at him, not a wide smile, but a small one, measured, knowing. "You hear it," she said. Caelum's brow furrowed. "The bell." She nodded. "The Hollow Vale calls again. And you, Caelum of Myliner, are among the last to still hear it." He stepped forward, cautious. "I'm no one special. That's what they always say," the woman replied gently. "But the veil does not choose wrongly." From her robe, she produced a simple pendant, a smooth stone bound in leather cord. She pressed it into his palm. It was warm, thrumming softly like a heartbeat, as if it remembered him before he even knew its name. "You have 3 nights," she whispered. "When the 3rd bell tolls, the way will close." And then, before Caelum could ask a single question, she vanished. No smoke, no burst of wind, just barley, stirring once more, as if nothing had happened at all. Back inside, Caelum sat quietly beside the fire. The pendant still rested in his hand. It pulsed gently, like a distant drum, not demanding, but patient, waiting. He turned it over once, twice, then slipped it over his neck. It settled against his chest like it belonged there. The bell rang again, distant, clear, the second toll. The lantern and the map. Sleep did not come to Caelum that night, though the hearth still burned softly and the blanket warmed his shoulders. His mind wandered over the barley fields, through the veil of night, to a place he had never seen, and yet somehow felt he knew. The pendant at his chest was still and quiet now, but it gave off a comfort, like a steady hand on the shoulder in the dark. By morning, Myliner stirred as it always did. The baker lit her ovens. The blacksmith's hammer chimed like a songbird, and the river children ran laughing along the mossy stones. Nothing seemed different except for Caelum. He stepped into the old storeroom beside the herbal shop, where forgotten things lived. Cracked lanterns, faded maps, even his father's old travel cloak. He had not been a traveler like his father, who once brought home dried skyflowers from the mountain tops and told stories of talking stags and hidden cities. But now, those stories seemed less like fables, more like memories waiting to return. He unrolled a dusty map across the wooden table. Most of the ink had faded, but he could still make out the forest edge to the north, the shimmering lake to the east, and the deep canyon to the south. In the far west, nearly off the page, was a soft, curled etching, the hollow veil. He'd never seen it before. He pressed his hand to the name, and the pendant warmed beneath his tunic. It pulsed once, then again, as if agreeing. Caelum packed carefully. A small satchel of dried fruits and flatbread, his herb pouch, a flask of cool spring water, and the lantern old, bronze, dented, but still good. He lit it with a whisper of flame and was surprised when the fire within did not flicker with the breeze. It glowed gently, like starlight caught in glass. Before leaving, he left a note pinned to the door. Gone to find the hollow veil, back before frostfall, maybe sooner. See, he did not know who would read it. Maybe no one. But it felt right to leave something behind before following a path uncertain. The first steps outside the village were slow, but not fearful. The trees greeted him like old friends, the path winding like it always had. The morning sun crept through the canopy in long golden beams, and birdsong trailed in the branches overhead. Time moved differently beyond the village line. It softened. The usual thoughts about the garden, the weather, the price of root bulbs drifted like leaves on a pond. In their place came a quiet openness, like space had been made for something larger. At the edge of the old forest, Caelum paused. There, resting on a stone like it had always belonged, was a fox. Its fur was pale and mottled like birch bark. and its eyes, one silver, one green, watched him with lazy interest. "You're going west," the fox said. Caelum blinked. "I am. Most go north this time of year," the fox replied, standing. "The brambleberries bloom sooner up that way. I'm looking for the hollow vale." The fox tilted its head. "Are you now?" There was no judgment in the creature's voice, just a quiet kind of amusement, like someone who'd heard the same story 100 times and still found it worth listening to. "Then follow the path until it forgets its name," the fox said. "And when the wind begins to hum, step where the shadow bends toward you. If you reach the old cairn before dusk, you're on the right trail." Caelum nodded. "Thank you." The fox bowed once, tail flicking like a ribbon. "You're welcome, dreamer." And then it vanished, melting into the underbrush with barely a sound. Caelum walked on, the pendant growing just a little warmer with every step, the path without a name. By midday, the trees had grown taller, and the sky was no longer something Caelum could see clearly. Instead, it filtered through the leaves in a mosaic of soft greens and golds, flickering like candlelight. The birds were quieter here, not gone, but watchful. Their songs felt more like messages passed between ancient branches than music for passers-by. The path, as the fox had promised, began to change. At first, it merely narrowed. Then it wound tighter, looping between stones and roots, as if trying to confuse the walker. And finally, it faded altogether, the ground becoming a soft carpet of moss and fallen leaves. This, Caelum thought, must be the path that forgets its name. He took a breath and kept moving forward, lantern held low. The light glowed steadily, undisturbed even by the shifting shadows. The pendant grew warmer now, not hot, but alive, like a gentle heartbeat next to his own. The air here was different, quieter, not empty, but full of something that listened. Then he heard it, a hum, low and far away, but constant, like wind pressed through a hollow reed. It wasn't the wind itself, but something riding with it. A tone, a note, a voice maybe from long ago. It wasn't frightening, but it made him feel very small and very still. He remembered the fox's words. When the wind begins to hum, step where the shadow bends toward you. Caelum stopped. Around him, dappled light danced across the forest floor. Shadows leaned softly in every direction, but just to his left there, near a fallen log, the shadow bent toward him. Unnaturally, gently, he stepped toward it. The hum grew louder, not overbearing, just more present. With each step, the light around him dimmed, not like nightfall, but like entering a great cathedral built from trees. The branches arched high overhead, woven together like hands in prayer. And then he saw it, the cairn. It stood in a clearing, made from river stones and old moss, no taller than Caelum's chest. It had no markings, but its shape was unmistakable. It hummed too softly, as though the song in the wind had found its chorus here. He knelt before it. The lantern flickered for the first time since he had lit it, and the bell rang. Not far away this time, not distant. It rang here inside the trees, within the earth, and beneath the cairn itself. It was the third toll, the last. The pendant against his chest grew bright, not blinding, just undeniable. And where the stone had once been solid and still, it now pulsed with a kind of inner movement, like light trapped inside crystal. Caelum stood slowly. He didn't know how he knew, but he knew. The gate had opened, not a gate of wood or iron, but a gate of moment, a door in time, in place, in self. One you could only step through if you heard the song and followed the wind. If you listened not with your ears, but your remembering. He stepped forward. The light changed. The forest held its breath, and the world began to unfold into the hollow vale. As Caelum stepped beyond the cairn, the world did not end it, unfolded. The trees did not disappear, instead, they shifted. Their trunks arched gracefully upward, wide as towers, their bark a smooth silver gray. Leaves above shimmered in colors not seen in ordinary forests, lavender, deep blue, and soft gold. The light here was gentle and pale, like moonlight trapped beneath water. The hollow vale was not a place you could walk to on a map. It was a place you remembered in dreams you thought were forgotten. The path before him glowed faintly, like the moss itself gave off a soft, steady breath. And as he walked, he noticed small lights in the air, glowflies, perhaps, or floating embers, drifting lazily between the branches. They did not flee his lantern. Instead, they danced around it, like old friends welcoming a familiar soul. It was quiet here, not empty, but still, the kind of stillness that made space for wonder. He passed beneath a stone arch twisted with flowering vines. Beyond it lay a shallow glade where water flowed over polished stones, singing softly as it went. Beside the stream sat a figure, a woman, though not like any woman Caelum had seen before. Her skin shimmered faintly, like polished wood wet with dew. Her hair spilled like a curtain of willow leaves, and her eyes were deep pools of night sky, stars flickering within. She looked up as Caelum approached, as though she had expected him all along. "You carry the pendant," she said in a voice like a lullaby. "And the light still answers." He nodded. "I heard the bell, all 3 tolls." She smiled, and something in the glade grew warmer. "Then you are meant to be here." Caelum lowered his lantern. "What is this place, truly?" "The veil," she said, "is memory, not of minds, but of the world itself. This land remembers its first song, its first snowfall, its first sorrow. Those who hear its call carry something within them, a piece of that ancient remembering. Caelum sat beside her, the water whispering between them. I'm not a warrior or a scholar. I'm just me. Exactly, she whispered. The veil doesn't ask for more than that. Only that you walk with care and listen. She reached into the water and withdrew a crystal shard, smooth and humming with the same light as his pendant. Take this, she said. It will guide you to the heart of the veil. He hesitated. What will I find there? The woman's gaze softened. That depends on what you need to remember. He walked on. The shard floated gently beside him now, bobbing like a lantern made of light. It pulsed faintly in rhythm with the pendant at his chest, and Caelum could feel its guidance, not in tugging or turning, but in knowing. His feet simply moved, and the land responded. He passed trees that whispered in languages he didn't understand, though somehow they felt familiar. He crossed a bridge of woven branches above a still lake that reflected not his face, but a child version of himself, running barefoot through rain. He smiled at the memory. The reflection smiled back. This was not a journey across land. It was a journey inward through memory, through soul, through the breath of the world. And deeper still, the hollow veil waited. The mirror tree. The deeper Caelum traveled into the veil, the more he realized that time was no longer something measured by the sun. There was no rising or setting light here, no shadow growing long. The veil held its own rhythm, like a slow breath, rising and falling in silence. The floating crystal shard guided him still, its pale glow casting soft halos against the trunks of trees older than memory. And then, just beyond a thicket of blue-leaved brambles, he found it. A tree larger than any he had ever seen stood in a clearing surrounded by a ring of standing stones. Its bark shimmered with iridescence, like light caught in glass. Branches reached not just upward, but inward, curling around themselves like 1,000 arms in embrace. It was the mirror tree, and beneath it, the air felt thick with meaning. Caelum approached slowly. As he neared, the surface of the trunk began to ripple, not like bark, but like water. He reached out, hesitated, then placed his palm gently upon it. The tree responded. Its surface shimmered and opened like a reflection, bending in a pool. And Caelum saw himself, not as he was, but as he might have been. He saw himself standing tall in a distant land, cloaked in robes of midnight blue, guiding others through forests glowing with starlight. He saw a younger version laughing beside a riverbank, hand in hand with a girl whose face he had long forgotten. He saw sorrow kneeling beside a bed, clutching a hand gone still. And he saw joy dancing in a hall of music and golden banners, surrounded by faces he did not yet know. The tree showed not prophecy, but possibility, and in all versions, the pendant still hung around his neck, He stepped back, breath caught in his throat. The shard beside him pulsed gently. The mirror tree spoke without words, only feeling. Remember not just who you are, but who you could be. The heart of the veil is not a place. It is a recognition. Caelum sat beneath the tree and closed his eyes. The hum of the veil was inside him now. He remembered his mother's songs. He remembered his father's laughter. He remembered the feeling of running through tall grass with no destination, only wonder. He remembered fear and the courage that came only after, and slowly his breath deepened. His mind quieted. His lantern dimmed, not from fatting, but from peace. For a long while he sat there, not moving, letting the veil hold him like a dream. When he rose, the shard floated ahead once more, leading him onward. The mirror tree behind him shimmered, then grew still, its surface once again reflecting the soft light of the hollow veil. Caelum did not know how long remained in his journey, but he felt lighter. He carried not just the pendant and the shard now. He carried understanding, and somewhere far ahead, the final step waited. The Heartlight Grove. The forest gave way, not suddenly, but like a curtain drawing back at the end of a long performance. Trees thinned. The air warmed. The ground beneath Caelum's boots grew soft with velvet moss, glowing faintly as if lit from beneath. Ahead stretched a quiet field, ringed with willow trees that wept silver threads instead of leaves. In the center, a pool lay so still and clear it looked like polished crystal. Above it, suspended in air without root or tether, floated a cluster of glowing stones, circling gently like planets in slow orbit. This was the Heartlight Grove, the hollow veil center. He had no words for it. The lantern dimmed until only the barest ember flickered within. The pendant grew silent and still. Even the floating shard, which had guided him through forest, glade, and memory, slowed until it gently came to rest on the earth beside his feet. This was as far as it could go. Caelum stepped barefoot into the grove, instinct guiding him now. The grass felt warm beneath his soles. The silence here was total, yet not empty. It was a silence full of promise, full of welcome. The silence of something sacred listening back. He approached the pool and knelt beside it. The water reflected not just his face, but his essence. It showed not the lines of his skin or the shape of his features, but the light within him, the soft flickering of hope, the deep embers of sorrow, the stubborn flame of love. And it spoke, not aloud, but within. You came not to find power. You came not to conquer. You came seeking peace, and carried it with you all along. Tears slipped quietly from Caelum's eyes. He did not understand all of it, but he felt it. In his bones, in his breath. The veil had not called him to test him. It had called him to remind him. He reached into the pool. It rippled, and from it he drew forth a single blossom, white, delicate, glowing like moonlight in fog. As his fingers closed gently around it, the grove sighed, and a breeze moved for the first time. The veil was exhaling. The floating stones slowed, then descended like snow. They touched the ground and melted into the moss, their light now part of the earth again. The blossom pulsed softly in his hand. It was not a treasure. It was not a weapon. It was a memory made physical, the moment of connection, of stillness, of truth. The heart of all stories. Caelum stood. He turned once to look at the grove, bowing his head in gratitude, and then stepped back the way he had come. The forest welcomed him, unchanged yet transformed. The mirror tree offered no more reflections, only shade. The cairn still hummed, but gently now, like a lullaby being sung to a child already asleep. When he stepped through the place where the path had forgotten its name, the third bell rang again, not behind him this time, but within him. Return to Myliner. The way back was soft, as if the forest itself had shifted to cradle Caelum's footsteps. The glow of the pendant and shard had faded, but inside him, a new light burned, steady, warm, and quiet. The barley fields greeted him like old friends. The wind whispered through the stalks, carrying the faintest echo of the bell's toll, now distant, now a memory. His cottage stood where he had left it, lanterns glowing faintly in the windows. The familiar scents of pine wood and chamomile drifted on the evening air. Caelum stepped inside and set the moonlit blossom carefully upon the wooden table. It shimmered softly, a reminder of the veil's heart, a moment caught in time. He settled by the window, blanket drawn around his shoulders. Outside, the stars blinked awake, and the village grew quiet beneath their watch. The world felt vast and deep, full of ancient songs and whispered stories. And yet, it also felt close, held gently in the arms of peace. Caelum closed his eyes. The wind sighed softly. The bell tolled once more, and the night carried him gently into dreams. Good night, sweet adventurers. If your battle with restlessness is still continuing, please feel free to listen to the music or jump into another adventure. Otherwise, enjoy the music. I'll see you tomorrow.